Hello and welcome to the first edition in a long time of Monday with the Town Manager. I'm Bradford Raths, and we are pleased to welcome for the first time Ferdinand Town Manager Chris James.
Thanks for having me, Bradford. Glad to step into Mark Stezik's shoes.
I'm sure you'll do just fine being a former broadcaster. Speaking of that, how's the transition been to the new job?
It's been very good. It's different, obviously, going from broadcast to running the town, but it's been a very good transition. I'm doing different things than I used to. It's worked out very well. Starting at the time of year that I did, it was a slow time, so I could transition in and sort of absorb things at an easier pace and not have to worry about having 6 or 7 things hit at one time that all have to be done at once. I can ease into it and know what's the biggest thing to deal with on a particular day and just attack each piece at a time.
Yeah. I guess most people probably may not be aware of is the hours change for you too.
The hours are different. It's more morning friendly. When I was at radio, I would get up about 4 a.m., be at work a little after 5, and work until 4:30, and then any ball games that would hit that night. Now I don't go in until 7:30, so I can sleep in a little bit later. I'm up with our boys when they get ready for preschool or get ready for the sitter, which was one of the considerations for taking the job, was more family time, because before everybody was asleep when I left. Now I get to see them in the morning, see my wife before she goes to work, before I go to work, so there's more of that family time aspect as well.
That certainly makes a difference.
Yes.
So diving into town issues, one that keeps coming up that may be, I don't know, a little less reported than most, the phosphorus problem with the water in the town.
Yeah, it's becoming more reported as we go through. We just recently got our last wastewater permit applied for and accepted, and one of the contingencies was to get phosphorus to a lower rate. We're running about 2.0. I think it's milliliters per gallon, and the EPA has stated they want it to go 1.0. And we have a 3-year window from June 1, which is when the permit kicks in, to get that plan put together, and actually whatever work needs to be done at the wastewater plant, have it done. Our wastewater superintendent, Roger Schaefer, is very much on top of this. He's been experimenting and tweaking with levels even before the permit came through as a way of trying to figure out the best way to attack the phosphorus. And phosphorus is just a naturally occurring nutrient. It's not something that you create and have to put in. It's in a lot of things, whether it's literally bags of potato chips, your cleaners, your laundry soap, bath soap. Obviously the big factories with the thinners and strippers they use, it's an ingredient in that. And not to pick on them, they're the bigger users of it, but for home consumers, when you go to the store, look at the label to see if it's phosphorus or non-phosphorus. And a lot of the product, it works the same either way, and the cost isn't any different either. So if you can go to that route, that would be better. Makes it easier on the plant to treat it and get that level down. But we've been meeting with Midwest engineers to the preliminary start to figure out the plan of action in terms of what work will have to take place at the wastewater plant. And we hope to know that by later this summertime. And once that plan is known, then we can put the project together, get a better idea on what the dollars will be for it, and then take that 3-year window and get things implemented. But so far, Roger's on top of it. Midwest's got a good crew available for us, so I'm thinking we'll be okay without any adverse rate impact to the folks at Ferdinand.
Which is always the good news.
Yes, very much so.
So as we wrap up here, you guys announced your Folk Fest lineup. Pretty good lineup.
We had a real nice turnout at the back room of the Ferdinand Legion Saturday night. This is the 5th year for the Folk Fest, and that's sort of one of the precursor events, is the halfway to Folk Fest. Mark Stezik is still very much hands-on with that. He and the Folk Fest committee, they do a lot of work year-round to try to determine what acts would be good for the fest, both in terms of the music they provide and then their expense, because we want to keep it family friendly. It's a free event, and that's in part to the sponsors and the corporate donors we receive. And then the artists come in, and it's just a great day. Hayes Carl is the lead act this year. He's had, I believe, 4 albums already out. It's going to be a great day. He and all of the acts that will be performing, and obviously as we meet throughout the course of this year. We'll have more details on it once we get closer to September, but it was a great turnout for the fest. Midway, the halfway point, we got to announce the lineup, and we'll continue the process, receiving more donor information and more donations from sponsors, and just finalizing a lot of the side entertainment, because there's always children's events and what we call the market stage, which is sort of off the main stage for other events for folks to take part in. So there's something literally for everyone all day long, starting around noon right up until 9:30 that night. And it's going to be a lot of fun.
All right. I remember having been at this past one for my first one. It was a great event.
Yes, and it's grown every year in Ferdinand. It was just sort of a brainstorm idea 5 years ago. What can we do to bring in more culture and more entertainment for the family, not just an artist that will only appeal to a certain demographic, but something where everybody can come. And it also, beside the music, we've got great vendors, all kinds of artisan and craft vendors, food vendors, and they come from throughout southern and southwest Indiana and all through the Midwest. And 8,000 to 10,000 people will work through Ferdinand on that one day, that Folk Fest Saturday, which is September 20th this year. They come in, some of them are fans of one of the particular acts, and they get there and maybe they're exposed to another act that they'll then follow, or they just like Ferdinand. And it's a way of sort of planting the seeds for people to come live in Ferdinand and in Du Bois County. It's sort of a win-win. We get to provide great entertainment, but also if we can bring some people in to actually be residents of Ferdinand in the area, it works out for everybody. So that's what we're looking forward to.
Yeah, I think everybody's looking forward to this year's event. Chris, thank you once again for coming in.
Thank you, Bradford. Glad to do it.
This has been this week's edition of Monday with the Town Manager. We will have more news after this break.